my dear students, welcome back to our news analysis program. Today we shall be discussing the Hindu dated August 25. To get the best utility of this program, I would always recommend you to read the newspapers first before listening to this program. This program is not going to be a substitute to your reading. Your reading is going to benefit you the most, and this is only a supplement. So reading of the newspaper is inevitable for success in any of the competitive examination of national scale. The first news today is that Tamilnadu government has launched a employment generation scheme in the lines of MNREGS, Mahatma Gandhi National Rural Employment Guarantee Program. But this is an urban scheme. On lines with the MNREGS, Tamil Nadu government has decided to launch a new employment generation scheme for livelihoods of urban poor, and rupees 100 crore has been allocated for the program. So MNREGS was a flagship program of the government for a long time. It is a demand-driven program. MNREGS envisages providing jobs to those who seek job. 100 days of employment is guaranteed for rural poor. If anybody wants job, then it's a duty of the government to give job for 100 days. So that is MNREGS. On the similar lines, Tamil Nadu government has started a program for urban poor, for enabling urban livelihood. So it's very important. Now I'm moving on to the next slide of mine. Caste counts is the Hindu editorial. So Bihar Chief Minister Nitish Kumar recently visited the Indian Prime Minister with a 10-member delegation to go for pressing the government for a caste-based census. We know that the census is due. A census was due in 2021. Thanks to COVID, census could not be started so far. But this census has to be caste-based census. This is what is the demand of Mr. Nitish Kumar and team. It was in 1931 that the country conducted the last caste-based census. It was in 1931 that the country conducted the last caste-based census. Generally, the head count in India is not caste-based. Effective governance definitely calls for data on a country's population. That is very clear. It calls for data of the so-called governed. But creation of categories within the population has always been for the political interests. That's a political act rather. The party in power, presently the BJP, can call the shot at the appropriate time to suit to their political gains. Elections are coming up in UP, so the Prime Minister of India has so far been tight-lipped on the matter, but we can expect that again this particular move is going to be for political gains. The Constitution of India provided for a socially and economically backward classes. This has inspired newer communities to get into the bracket of reservation, and every time, every time when elections are about to happen, political parties would yield to demands of newer communities to get included in the reservation list. And that is what I said, that it has always been a political act. So anyway, we have to wait and see what the government is going to say on the matter. The next slide. In a first, Army receives hand grenades from private sector. So it's a very big reform because the government of India has taken a stand that private sector must be given a hand to participate in production of ammunition which are needed for the army. Generally, we have got a public sector company called Ordnance Factory. Ordnance factory is there. Then we depend heavily on imports from other countries. So in fact, the windows for participating in the production of ammunition have been closed for the Indian private sector, but the government took a landmark decision a few years ago to participate Indian private sector companies in production of ammunition, and so that the capital outflow, the dollar outflow, can be contained and more employment can be generated within India, making a first in ammunition supply by the private sector to the army. Nagpur-based Economic Explosive Limited, Nagpur-based Economic Explosive Limited, a private company, handed over the first batch of multi-mode hand grenades to the Indian Army. So it's a Nagpur-based company, and the name of the company is Economic Explosive Limited, EEL. Take note of that. The next slide is Pakistan tests indigenous rocket system. Pakistan successfully test fired an indigenously developed guided multi-launch rocket system, and its name is Fatah-1, F-A-T-A-H-1, Fatah-1. The system can hit targets up to a range of 140 kilometers. So what is the name of the indigenously developed rocket system, multi-launch rocket system of Pakistan? It is Fatah-1, F-A-T-A-H-1. The next slide, chip shortage transient likely to resolve by 2022, says R.C. Bhargava, the Maruti man. We know that automobile industry in the world has been facing the issue of semiconductor shortage, and that has constrained their production line heavily. This is not an Indian phenomenon, it has been a global phenomenon. It was a COVID related phenomenon. The semiconductor shortage faced by the automobile industry is temporary and will be resolved by 2022. This is what Maruti Suzuki Limited Chairman R.C. Bhargava said. So you should understand that there has been a semiconductor shortage in the automobile industry. That is why I've taken it into our news. GDP is likely to grow at 18.5% in April-June, the first quarter, SBI Economic Wing reports. India's gross domestic product, GDP, is expected to have grown by about 18.5% with an upward bias in the first quarter, says the State Bank of India's researchers wing. So India's GDP has grown by 18.5% in the first quarter of 2021-22, says SBI's research wing. The estimate by RBI for the same period was 21.4%. So of course different agencies would take different parameters in calculating. So 18.5 and 21.4 are almost matching. But why is this growth? It is clearly because of the base effect. What is base effect? Base effect is very easy to understand. When the base is low, denominator is low. When the denominator is low, the percentage will be on the higher side. So that is called base effect. We all know that during April-June 2020, last year, Indian economy actually contracted by around 21%. Contracted by around 21%. Indian economy was almost shut down during April-June period. So the base was very low. That is why it is showing a very high growth for the year 2021-22 April-June. So that's what's called base effect. So that's it. Here I sum up my today's news analysis. Plenty of two more sessions are coming up today. We have got the mains class, SBI as well as RRB mains, clerical mains class. Live classes are coming up, and of course we have got the prelim session also. Learn well, remain focused, read the newspapers well. Thank you very much. Bye bye.